Hi everybody, Dr. Zach here. I'd like to bring up a topic for discussion today that I think is really important. I think it's timely. I think it's something that we should all probably consider and put some thought into. And the question for discussion is this: what are your thoughts about artificial intelligence, about AI? We see it everywhere. It's all around us. In fact, I just read an article recently about a gentleman who graduated from UCLA using only artificial intelligence. And he went on to profess that he learned absolutely nothing while he was in college, but he did get his degree. Interestingly enough is that there was a research article just released from MIT, and it talked about the effect of artificial intelligence on our cognitive function. In fact, the study that's titled "Your Brain on ChatGPT: Accumulation of Cognitive Debt When Using AI Assistant for Essay Writing Tasks." So you can look up that article and you can get caught up into the all of the information about it. Basically what they did is they looked at the effects of using AI in writing essays. And they broke people into three different groups. One group where it was just brain only. They had access to what they could take and they could find just by doing their own research. The second group was actually given the opportunity to use search engines to find information and to put together their essays from there. And the third group did it through AI. And what they found is that there was actually cognitive debt that accumulated in those that used the AI. It said that participants that previously had used these things like ChatGPT or Grok, they showed that they had weaker memory recall, lower alpha and beta neural engagement, signs of cognitive adaptation toward passivity, and efficiency at the cost of effort learning. So they started to see that they were having mental decline the more that they used artificial intelligence. They found that when they switched from using artificial intelligence back to using their brain or search engines, that they didn't fully recover. It said that they had a lingering cognitive deficiency, failing to return to their original brain activity patterns. Their neural activity remained below baseline even after AI use was stopped. Went on to say that the search engine users, the people who had access to using search engines on their computers, said that they showed healthier brain engagement, that they maintained stronger executive function, memory activation, and quote, recall. EEG data showed that there was robust occipital and parietal activation supporting visual processing and cognitive effort. So bottom line is that if you use it, then you maintain it. If you don't use it, you can lose it. And so that works with our thoughts. When we take and we're looking for something artificial to replace what's authentic, we're going to end up in a worse state. At least that's my personal belief. I look back over history and I look at everything that we've come up with that's been artificial, right? Artificial flavors, artificial sweeteners, artificial preservatives, all artificial everything. And how is that improved on authentic, on real, on what's naturally there? So I was digging into this and I was really wanting to kind of go, okay, is this something where it's just I'm kind of biased against that, or is it something where there's a legitimate concern that maybe we need to take and evaluate more carefully what we engage in, what we get involved in, before we just jump into it because everybody else is doing it? Romans 12:2 says, don't be so accustomed to the culture around us that we do what everybody else does just because they're doing it without even thinking about it. It says that we need to actually change the way that we think and be transformed as we think differently. In Proverbs, it says that there is a way that seems right to a man, and in the end it leads to death. There's all kinds of stuff out there that we believe is going to be great. Hey, this is an improvement. This is something where we've taken something that is authentic and we made it better by making it artificial. And so we buy into it. We just blindly say, wow, look at this. Look at, I can take something where I'm not very articulate, and I can write a response based upon my intellect and my own ability to create something that actually has some heart and soul attached to it. And I can type that into a chat GPT and come out with something eloquent, something that sounds super smart, something that is soulless and without my thought and my effort going into it. And what we see is that there's a separation from what's real when we engage and take hold of something that's artificial. You know, in John 10:10 it says that there is a thief that comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. And the term steal in there actually refers to kind of a stealthy, just kind of a silent creeping in, stealing without us being aware of what's going on. So this isn't a gunpoint, you know, hold up your hands and give me your wallet. This is something where I'm going to come in deceptively, and I'm going to be stealing stuff from you without you even knowing it. And the intent is to destroy and to kill you. There's evil intent behind that. But the good part of that verse says, but Jesus came to give us life and life to the full. So what we know is Jesus is the creator. It said that he was there at the beginning. The word was spoken and the word was God. The word was with God. And Jesus is the creator. The thief can't create. So what does he do? He counterfeits. He comes up with something artificial, something that's not real. And so when we take a look and we start breaking these things down, it's a counterfeit that takes place. And so I looked up the word counterfeit. It said, made an imitation of something else with the intent to deceive. It's a forgery. It's to imitate or feign, especially with the intent to deceive. It's to make a fraudulent replication of. So who is the counterfeiter? It's the thief. It's the father of lies. It's the deceiver who comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So counterfeit, it isn't a good thing. In fact, it's against the law, right? You get thrown in prison if you're a counterfeiter. Let's look at authentic. Authentic is not false or imitation, but it's the real. It's the actual. Worthy of acceptance or belief as conforming to, based on fact. So this is authentic, real, true. Artificial, on the other hand, is made, produced, or done by humans, especially to seem like something natural. Caused or produced by human actions or methods, especially for economic, social, or political aims. Imitation or sham. So again, we've got the real, we've got the truth, and then we've got the artificial, which is the sham, the imitation, the counterfeit. And then even to apply this to artificial intelligence or authentic intelligence. Intelligence is the ability to learn or to understand. What we find is that if we're using artificial intelligence, what happens to our ability to learn or understand? It's being stolen from us because it comes from a counterfeit. It comes from a deceiver. Intelligence is a skilled use of reason. Skilled. That means it's something that we can develop and that we can grow, and it's using that reason. We don't get it artificially. We get it through practice. And it's a mental acuteness, which means that as we exercise that, it becomes sharper. We don't become sharper by looking for an easy way out, looking for a counterfeit. So I'm starting this discussion. I'm hoping to get some feedback on it because I tend to be one of these that sees things black and white. Truth or lies. Real or false. Authentic or artificial. And there may be different shades of gray in there that people can understand and pick up more than I can. I just have a tendency to see things that way. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And if you believe that AI is this great God-given thing that is going to take us into the next level of advancement, tell me why. Explain to me why. Give me some information on how that's going to happen and some research on how that's happening. You know, I was watching a webcast recently about a gentleman who's written 2 bestsellers using AI. He's written them in like 24 hours. So guess what? From my perspective, he didn't really write these books. He plugged some kind of data into his computer and it spit this thing out. And he's got a bestseller now, An Easy Way Out. But is he really giving us some true, authentic information that's going to help us to make better decisions, you know, based on what we're buying his books for? That's a question I don't know. I'd like to throw that out to you and get what your responses are to that. So with that said, again, question is, what are your thoughts on artificial intelligence? Good, bad, in between? Let me hear what you have to say. Till then, this is Dr. Zach. God bless you, and make today a great one.